Hello, everyone, and good evening. Thank you once again for joining Destined for the Dub for our Mom's Night in Tuesday night, the best night of the week, where moms get a chance to just relax, unwind, and just be. My name is Tanya May Event. I'm your host for tonight, and thank you so much for joining. Those who might be your first time and those who have returned, we are so glad to have you with us. I am thrilled tonight. I have a wonderful guest, but before we get into our story, I've been using the month of November as my Thanksgiving month and just to offer thanks of people who have been supporting me in this ministry. And tonight, my guest or not my guest, but my person that I wanted to thank is Miss Remy Watkins. She did not want to come on camera tonight, and I totally respect that, but I still wanted to shout her out. Remy has been with me, I think, since day one, since I started blogging. She's been my second set of eyes, been an amazing editor for me, and just making sure that the blogs are coming out and that they're saying what I want to say and how I want to say them. A lot of times for writers, it's hard to edit your own work because you know what you want to say and your eyes see what you want to say, but the paper doesn't always say that. So that second set of eyes is amazing. And a lot of times I'm sending it to her last minute and she comes through and she gives me amazing edits. So Remy, I want to say thank you. I appreciate you. And I could not have made it this far without you. So I do want to just give thanks to you and show my appreciation. So let's get into tonight. I want to welcome my guest, Miss Brenda Woodard. Hi, Brenda.
Hi, how
How
are
are you?
you?
I am good. I am good. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. So our November theme and our November topic is adoption. So I remember when I was planning for this, you came in my mind and I'm like, I need to talk to her. I knew we've known each other maybe 8 or 9 years, I want to say, because we started serving together in children's ministry that
Yes,
long ago. And,
yes,
and we talked about it before. I never even knew you were fostering. I thought Amani was your daughter. And I can remember
yes,
that, like,
yes.
what, really? So that's just a testament just for you, even back then. Sometimes you don't know someone's looking or watching, but I
Sure.
just remember that standing out. But we've worked for years, for years together with
Yeah, for a long
children.
time. Yeah.
And so, like I said, I learned a lot more about your story that I didn't know. So I am
Mhm.
thrilled to share this with everyone. And this may, for those that have been watching each week, this may be a bit different as Brenda had so many nuggets that I may be zeroing in on all of those. It may be different, but in a good way. So I have my tissue ready tonight just in case. I know you have your water. We always ask everyone to bring their non-alcoholic drink. I'm drinking a water with lime tonight. I wanted to do better. I wanted something exciting, but today is just one of those days. I know you're just getting home from work as well, so
Yes.
we're just
Hmm.
decompressing. We're just going to talk and cry and laugh and have a great conversation tonight. So
Yes, yes.
thank you. Let's say hello to those joining us. Our guest from last week, Rebecca. Thank you so much for joining us and
Hi,
welcome back.
Rebecca.
So she said she's very happy to listen to your testimony tonight. And I also see
Thank
Ann on.
you.
Ann is a faithful, I'd say watcher or guest or participant. So Ann, thank you again for joining us again tonight. It's so good to see you on and everyone else that's joining us. Let's get into it. So first, what we're going to do is do our this or that, which is very fun, high level, just getting to know you. So really easy things, Brenda. Sausage or bacon for breakfast?
As long as it's turkey, bacon.
Okay. Yeah, I'll eat either or. Bacon, and my girls hate it. So when we go to my
Yeah.
mom's, they're like, yes, we get pork. But they do not, they're not very fond
Yes.
of turkey bacon, which I'll eat either.
Yeah,
Um,
me too.
a leisurely bike ride or a leisurely walk? What do you prefer?
I would say walk because I
Okay.
walk all the time.
Okay.
And with biking, you have to concentrate, especially our
And keep your
age.
balance.
Right, keep your balance, watch where you're going. But with a walk, you can kind of take everything in,
Okay.
the weather and the sounds and things like
I
that.
love that.
And
Right. Just the sky and yes, everything. I love that. I
you can
agree.
go as fast or as slow as you want.
Hmm. Hmm.
Mhm.
All right. Next is movies, suspense or horror, or
Sus-
neither. Suspense.
yes,
Okay. I
I
like to
like
get the heart
I like the
pounding a
story.
little bit. I don't want to be
Yeah,
scared out of my mind. I
yeah.
remember I watched a show Sleepy Hollow. It was a
Hmm.
TV show. Do you remember? Did you watch that?
Yes.
I was in my kitchen scared to. I was terrified in one episode. I'm like, and
Yeah.
after that, I stopped watching the show. I didn't watch horror movies. I just remember like, how could
Yeah.
I be this frightened? So that's a testament. They were excellent writers, and it was a very
Yeah.
good show. But I can remember I was terrified in my own kitchen. So I'm like,
And
this
I
is.
was the same way. I used to read books, horror
Mm-hmm,
books. I would
mm-hmm.
close the cover and be
James
scared to
Patterson.
move.
Same thing. James Patterson, I vowed off not reading him anymore the same way. Like,
Yes.
how can someone's
I would
words
be frozen.
scare
Yeah.
me so bad?
Yes,
Yeah,
I would
yeah.
be frozen, like afraid to get off the couch because I was
Mhm.
just terrified. And I was like, that's enough.
So if you like that kind of thing, go back. I don't know if
Yeah.
Sleepy Hollow is streaming, Sleepy Hollow or James Patterson for books.
Something's
They're
always
both.
true.
So
Hmm.
Markeisha said Stephen King
Yeah.
for her.
Stephen King. There you go.
All right. Next, do you prefer burgers or pizza?
Ooh, I like a good burger.
Hmm.
Yeah, I like a good burger.
Okay. Okay.
You can get pizza anytime. I
Now,
like a good
any
burger.
special place you get your burgers from? What's your favorite burger joint?
I like diners. I do
Okay.
like. So I
Okay.
like the way they present everything, and
Hmm.
yeah. But that's a once in a while thing. I just, yeah.
Yeah. I like
Not a.
Red Robin.
Mm,
I'm
okay.
doing. I miss beef. I'm doing turkey again, so I don't even. I'm doing turkey burgers too. I'm not as
Mm,
excited about that as I am about beef.
yeah.
I enjoy beef, but it's been a couple years since I've gotten a chance to
Really.
enjoy it. Hmm.
I
Yeah,
still eat red meat, but not.
yeah,
I guess not as much. But
uh-huh.
you have to watch it when you stop eating pork because you just
Yeah. It
automatically
mess
go
you
to
up.
red meat. So you have
Yes,
to really think about how much you're eating it. Yeah.
yeah. The next one is, and I asked this a lot, but I said I'm going to ask it again. Sunrise or sunset? We were driving this week. We were in New England, and every night we saw amazing sunsets. Where I always say sunrise is my favorite, but the sunsets that I saw in New England on the water each night was just amazing.
And I remember it, and that reminds me because that's what Rebecca, I have remembered her saying that she loved sunrise because she was a morning person. And
Hmm.
I'm a
Hmm.
morning person too. So I see the sunrise every morning. But at the end of the day, especially with the clocks going back and everything, I rush home to get to see the sunset every night,
Yeah, yeah.
you know,
It's
because it's
different.
the day,
The
it's
sun, yeah, the sky changes colors. Where it's the morning, it's the daybreak, it's darkness, changes to light. I love that about that. And the streams coming out of darkness. But night is just you see the purple and the pink and
yeah.
like just those changes. And it's 2 or 3 minutes and it's gone. But those changes that you see are just yeah. So I don't know. I'm on the
Uh
fence now. I don't know which one
yeah.
I like now
So
anymore.
yeah, I just
And
I love days that I get to see both.
mhm, mhm. And I always say it's God painting the sky. It's God's art, and He's painting the
Hmm.
sky. Tell the girls that when they're little, God's making you a picture. Go look in the sky. He made it. He painted a picture for you.
Hmm.
So, all right,
Yeah.
last one. So I guess you probably answered already. I was gonna say night owl, morning bird, but I think you just said you're a morning
Yeah.
person, right?
Yeah, I'm up with the chickens, so and
So what
now
time is
my dog
bedtime?
makes sure of that.
What time do you go to bed?
I try to go to bed between 9:30 and 10:30 or
Okay,
10 and 11,
so
but I'm usually
just
up about quarter 5.
every
So
morning.
every
That's
yeah. And
early.
even on the days I don't have to get up, I still have the dog, so I get up
Yeah,
and I just wake up.
that's early. Wow. I just read an article today that the opportune time to sleep to prevent heart disease is between going to bed between 10 and 11. It says for your
I saw
natural
that.
cicada, I guess,
I saw
clock. And
that.
yeah,
Yeah,
yes, I'm like,
I saw
okay,
that.
I'm still
And
late,
I was
but
like,
I
now I
got to
can
move it up.
justify
I got to move it up a little bit, but I'm still
like
struggling.
bedtime.
But at least I'm gonna try. If I can get in there by 11, that's my goal.
Really?
That's
What
my
time do you go
goal.
to bed?
Midnight.
Okay.
Yeah. Sometimes later, but midnight is kind of the usual. It's midnight and I'm up by 6. So I'm trying to get
Okay.
7 hours, but I'm struggling a bit. So,
Yeah.
okay. Well, thank you. That was fun getting to know you. My next question that I always ask during our icebreaker time is what is your favorite scripture and why?
Um, I think my favorite scripture is Hebrews 11:1 because
Mm,
it talks about faith, and I just think that it talks about that faith is this is the substance of things hoped for, evidence of things not seen. And a lot of times, um, God has, a path and, a seed time and harvest to bring us through. And
Mm-hmm.
we, in our world with instant gratification, want to do things in our time. And I think that sometimes you just have to wait and just let things unfold the way that they're supposed to, so that you get the blessing that you're supposed to out of that situation. And you just have to be faithful, you know.
Mm-hmm.
In the natural, that's a challenge at
I was going to
times,
say, yes, easier
you
said than
know,
done. Yeah, it's
but I
definitely a
think that
discipline.
it's the mantra that you have to keep telling yourself, to just like just hang on, keep the
Wait on
faith.
him.
I used to hear
Wait
my
on him.
grandmother say that a lot. Keep the faith, keep the faith, and
Mm-hmm.
it was just three little words, but
Yeah.
they
Mhm. A lot of meaning.
resonate,
A lot of meaning there.
Yeah.
Well, I want to say hi to Mr. Gary. Your husband is on. He says, hi, wifey. Hi, Gary. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, honey.
All right. So, what book are
Yes.
you reading now, or do you have a favorite book? If you're not reading anything, what is your favorite book?
Know that I have a favorite book because I started reading as a very young child,
Hmm.
and I do enjoy books that take me somewhere else and describe things, because there are places that I've traveled to in my life just from what I've read.
Just from
Because
where
I
you
was like,
read.
I want to see it because I had this picture in my eye, and
Hmm.
I wanted to see it. But the last book I think that I was listening to was Michelle Obama's Becoming.
Okay.
Um, and I started it, as the hot item, and then I kind of put it down, and then I
Hmm.
went back to it. And then once kind of the hype died down, I think I really listened to it more so than saying, oh, I read it. I read it, that sort of thing. I started really listening to that story because I think the thing that resonates and why she's so relatable is because she's every woman. She started
Hmm.
off as every woman and just aspired and walked in that purpose that she was supposed to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have that too. One of the same thing where I started it and kind of put it down and never finished it. So yeah, that's something I have to finish
Yeah.
as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the
Yes.
last question before we get into your story is, where is one place in the world you'd like to go? If I told you to pack your bags, I was sending you somewhere tomorrow morning when you woke up.
There's so many. I would think maybe Fiji Islands if I could
Hmm.
just go tomorrow.
Okay. Okay.
Just go.
Head on the beach, right?
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course, the beach.
Yeah.
Always. As long as I'm near water, I'm fine.
Same. Same.
Fine. Yeah. As
Same.
long as I'm
Same.
near water, I'm fine.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much. And I just realized usually I ask my guests to introduce themselves, and I didn't give you an opportunity to. So I'm going to just ask you really quickly, if you don't mind, just introducing yourself, telling us a little bit about yourself and your family,
Okay.
and then we will get into our conversation.
Okay. As everyone knows, my name is by now. My name is Brenda Woodard. And we've known each other. I think closer to 10 years. I
Hmm.
want to say, because I've been with Imani. She's
Yes, yes,
Yeah. She was I had just gotten Imani, but I'm married and I'm a newlywed.
yes.
I've been married a year to
Congratulations.
my long love, long time love. And I have three girls: Danielle, who's 23, Imani, who's 17, and Angel, who just turned 10 yesterday.
Yes, yes.
So, yeah. Um, yeah, of course, I'm, from this, I'm from Philadelphia, but I live in the South Jersey area. And I, I have a very strong love of the Lord, and I love relationships and family and friends and connecting with people. And I work with people with disabilities, and basically advocate for them and teach them the
Hmm.
things that they need, life skills that they need to do whatever it is they can do, and
Good.
whatever they
Hmm.
can do, they should do. They
Hmm.
have, rights to live their lives as they see fit, and I get to help them every day. So I come home, feeling good. When they have a good
Yeah.
day, I have a good day.
That's rewarding. That's really
Yeah.
rewarding.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Yes.
it reflects right off. If they don't have a good day, I come home like I
Hmm.
didn't have a good day.
Hmm. Yes.
And that's pretty much it.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing. Let's go ahead and start. We'll go ahead and pray and open up in prayer, and then we'll get to it. Okay. Dear Heavenly Father, God, I thank you for this day, for this time so far that we've had, and for the times yet to come. Lord, we just thank you for another opportunity just to be able to talk about you, your goodness, even when things seem tough and you may seem far away. God, help us to remember that you're always near. And I just pray that you would use Brenda's story tonight to just bless someone, to encourage someone, to just go on till tomorrow. Just give it another day, and they can continue each day to give it another day to just continue to trust you. So we invite you into this conversation. We invite you into every home that's here, and we just pray that you get the glory. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
All right.
Amen.
So, as everyone hopefully knows by now, that Brenda will be our guest blogger tomorrow. And so, hey, Donna. So, Donna, hey, Donna was our
Love me
ministry
some you too.
leader. So, she was our director of children's ministry
Yes.
when we first started. So,
Yes.
we have some, some years and some memories together.
Yes.
So, Donna, thank you so much for joining us. So, like I was saying, Brenda is going to be our guest on Destined for the Dub. And so we just want to invite you, if you have not already, let me get that banner up and for everyone to see. So Destined for the Dub. .com/blog. She'll be there tomorrow. And if you haven't already, please sign up so you will get notification once her blog is published. But we're going to get a little bit in depth here. But you're obviously tomorrow and the story comes out, it'll be it's just amazing. It's just an amazing story. So thank you, first of all, for sharing it. And just, I know it was tough. I know there were some difficult things that we talked about and some difficult things that you shared. But just thank you for just sharing your story, your wisdom, and what you've gleaned over your experience. And again, we just pray that it blesses and encourages someone else. So if you don't mind tonight, let's start talking about how you first became a foster parent.
Okay. All right. That was indeed the beginning of a changing time of my life. Okay. So I had a biological child, and I had uh, experienced some time when I had a lot of love for wanting more children, but time did not allow that to happen. Okay. And I was 37 when I gave birth to my first daughter. When she became 13, she, wanted a sibling. I wanted to spend some time at home. I wanted to spend time helping another child. I considered being a big sister, but I felt as though I really needed time to really pour into a child. So um, I considered becoming a foster parent. And when I approached Danielle with the idea, she welcomed the idea. So we made the decision as a family to go ahead and start the process to get a foster child.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sorry. And we went through the training, and I got my license. You have to go through a background check. You have to um, go through fingerprinting. You have to go through a home inspection, not only from the local office of Child and Protection Services, but through the state as well. And they'll come and tell you things like, you can't have a trampoline, don't put up a pool, don't do this, don't do that. Okay, your house is licensed as it is. And that happened in November of 2011, and in
Mm-hmm.
uh, January 30th, 2012, we received notice that we were getting a little girl named Imani.
Yes. Miss
Yes,
Imani. Miss Imani.
yes,
So I
yes.
want to talk about your experiences as a foster mom. And again, we definitely want to make sure that we are to who may be struggling, who may have went through what you experienced, or maybe going through that
Mm.
now. Because I know. So so let's talk first. You talked about dealing with the state, and so the state's Division of Child Protection and Permanency, which we call DIFUS for years
Yeah,
in New
we
Jersey.
still call DIFUS. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But talk about dealing with, I know particularly you shared about like the state inspector experience versus a social worker, and just really had
Yeah.
you had to fight not to become discouraged, in dealing with the state.
What you do is when you become a foster parent, you have, monthly visits from that child's case manager. Depending on that child's um, um, things that they're coming in with, they may need additional services. They may need uh, more doctor's appointments because they have health issues, or mental health services, that sort of thing. So you're juggling with all of that, and therapies and things like that. But the state, and particularly, not so much the people from the local office, which can be tough, but
Hmm.
when the people come down from the state, there was one woman in particular just never just had a kind word for me. My caseworkers were telling me I was doing good, and that the kid, my Imani was, I was doing everything that I was supposed to do, keep up the good work. They wish they had 10 of me. But on the state level, it was just like I was an address, and I was an address, and I had to justify each and every time why I deserve to do this, where
Wow.
I was doing it for the love of the game to just
Hmm.
help someone. And
Hmm.
my home was, they told me that the home that I was raising my daughter in wasn't good enough, for someone else to come in that needed a home. And it was all these little remarks made. You know, there was things like 1 degree at the hot water heater was it was too high, 1 degree. And they sanctioned me with, a level 1 violation. And I had no idea. I had never touched it. And it was just
Mm.
this kind of a beat down mentality that was very hard, at times, very hard.
Hmm.
It didn't make you feel very good about what you were doing. And at the very least, I needed encouragement. At the
Yeah.
very,
Yeah.
very least, I needed someone that said, hang in there. I know
Hmm.
there's tough days. I know this isn't easy, but you've got resources. We're here. You can
We're here
call
to
us if
support
you
you.
need anything,
Yes.
instead
Yeah.
of saying, see you next month.
Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
Everything's fine.
Yeah, and it's almost like you're fighting, trying to do good. Like you're fighting to do good.
Yeah. And justifying every little thing that I did because you're so afraid to do something wrong,
Hmm.
because you
Hmm.
don't want to upset the apple cart. You don't want to lose your license. You don't want them to take this child that you're bonding with, you know. And worst case scenario, you don't want them coming in and saying what's wrong with your child, of your biological child, that is
Yeah.
not a suitable environment.
Yeah.
You've got
Yeah.
everything riding on it. Everything. Your whole
Wow.
life. You've got your everything,
Wow.
and it can
So
be tough.
you're dealing with that with the state, but then also in many cases there's issues dealing with the child, the foster child as well. So you're having to balance just, I'm thinking of just the heaviness and just having to deal, especially with the inspector. I know maybe the social worker help, there were other encouraging people, but at least that then every month you had, I'm sure, had to mentally prepare and just to deal with that. But then balance that against what you're even dealing with Amani. And I know sometimes there may be issues with the birth family or even the child in general. Talk about even that side of the struggle as well.
That that was difficult. So when the children come into the home, they're sad, they're broken, they're angry. Um, Depending on how old they are, sometimes you don't understand what's going on.
Hmm.
In my case, Imani was 7 and turned 8 the very next month, so she kind of was she knew what was going on. She was very sad, and because of her sadness and for her internalizing everything that she was feeling, um, she acted out
Yeah.
a lot. She broke things. She didn't have any regard for other people's property. She didn't talk.
Hmm.
When she was addressed, there was no light in her eyes. There was
Wow.
no light. There was just words bouncing off of her. I couldn't, she didn't want to be held or talked to or, anything. So it was very hard to get through to her to find out how I could help her. And the only thing that I could do was just let her come to me. And, she would say things like, "What should I call you?" And I said, "You can call me anything you want. You can call me anything you want. If you want to call me Miss Brenda, Miss Green." At the time I was that, was Green. I said, "Whatever you want. If you want to call me Mom, I have no problem with that. It's what you feel comfortable with,
Mm-hmm.
you know." And there were issues when she would act up, and I could not discipline her. I could not invoke any kind of consequences for her behavior to get her to sit quietly and let me explain to her what I was trying to teach her and
Teacher,
why
yes,
what she
yes.
was doing was wrong.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If my daughter Danielle, misbehaved, I took that phone. That's what she loved. I couldn't do that with Imani. I took her phone. She came, caseworker came, asked Imani why she didn't have a phone. She told her that I took it. And she was like, "You can't do that. She has rights. That's her property. You have to give her a phone back." And I'm like, "Well, what do I do
Yeah.
to,
How
how
do
do
you
I
share
set parameters?
consequences and yeah, discipline and just
Right. How do I
yeah.
set discipline?"
Mm-hmm.
She basically just gets to say whatever she want and do whatever she want. And I have no recourse, no parameters that I can parent her with. And she's a child.
Mm-hmm.
you know, they
And she's acting like
need
a child. And
perimeters.
she's right. And she's
And
she's
she's acting up.
acting like she should, like a child.
And the thing about it is that, the caseworkers do a very good job, but when a child hears that,
They
just a
take it and
license,
run.
like,
They take it and run.
yeah, you can't
Mm-hmm.
do nothing, lady.
Mm-hmm.
You can't
Mm-hmm.
do anything. And I'm like, well, we'll have to see about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. And as we talk, I know with that struggle, when we chatted, we shared, a lot of times, and not only with foster children, any child, like even my children can say things to hurt us. There's things that my my children say that kind of cuts, and I can feel my bottom lip quiver sometimes. Like
hmm
wow, that But
Yeah.
I think one of the things you mentioned was it's important to just realize, yeah, as we're mothers, but we're human beings too. And just like these
hmm
children are hurting, they may be hurting us because they're hurting themselves. And and I think that's one thing to remember, that sometimes hurt people hurt people. And
Absolutely.
as we are hurting, we're human, and it's
Yes.
okay for us to hurt. It's okay for
Yes.
us to maybe lose our temper every now and then. And we're not. It's not the end of the world. I'm not the worst people in the world if we yell or certain things that we, I think, respond to in our humanness of hurting. But it's important, even I think, to let our children know, yeah, your words hurt me too. You can say
Yes.
things that hurt me too, and
Yes.
not and I can, and I'm sure I say things that hurt you, but at the end of the day, we need to be able to forgive each other as well. You
hmm
make mistakes and I make mistakes, and we definitely need to forgive. So talk and share how you came to that realization that I, I'm a human. I have feelings. My feelings matter. My feelings hurt. I'm getting hurt, but I still
It
matter.
was
I still have feelings.
it was a couple of things. There was, I had Imani throw up in my face regularly. "You're not my mom. You're not
Mm-hmm.
this. You can't tell me
Mm-hmm.
you can't do this. You can't
Mm-hmm.
take my phone. You can't do that. You can't, like." And this is a child in my home,
Yeah. Yeah.
a child. you know, there are, there was, my hands were tied in so many ways, and she would, that was fuel. That was fuel for her, and she used it. But I had to remind Mani that during some of the toughest times that we went through, and I said, "You must remember that this is my life too.
Mm-hmm.
I'm living
Mm-hmm.
this every single day with you. It's not you just being here. Every day that you're
Yeah.
here, my life is here as well, you know?" And at the time, like, she was having visits with her mother, which just was just few. adding fuel to the fire because she did not have a kind word for me. In her mind, I had stolen her, which I didn't know Imani. I had no choice as to where she was placed. Um, I was called names. I was that. I mean, some of the things were. And when I thought Imani could cut, her words could cut. Some of her mom's were really cut to the bone, where to the point where I was blocking numbers and having to call, say, listen, we've got a problem. This is really intrusive. I can't. Well, she's allowed to talk to her mom, but this is not talking. This is not talking. This is adding, a
Fuel.
real, it's really making it, really a combustible situation here in the home. Also, I had to be mindful about my child because she's watching her going, why do you take my phone, but you don't take hers? Why can she do this and da da da? Why can she say this and I can't say that? Why can, was always this, trying to toe the line and trying to, teach my daughter some compassion, but also to say, I know it's not fair. I know it's not fair. And at the same time, I was going to God saying,
Why?
Why? Like, why me? Why? I cannot believe I'm the best choice. I just cannot believe that I'm the choice.
It's gotta be somebody better, right?
I just couldn't believe it. And I would be so angry. And I would call out to God and I'd say, why am I doing this? Like, why me? Like, I can't do this anymore. I just can't do it. I'm not a young mom, to begin with, and I don't have any experience in this area. No. So, I think I want to take my ball and go home. I don't want to do it. And during the toughest days, I said, I said, and Imani would tell me, I want to go, and I always heard from God, and He said, I just need you to do it one more day.
Yeah,
just one more day.
Just one more day.
Just one more day.
And I remember you talked about feeling a certain way about going to God to complain about how you were feeling.
Yeah,
because you prayed and asked for this.
Because I prayed that He would put me in a situation that I would be able to love on these children and help these children. And I had 5 pass through, and the first one stopped me in my tracks. It's like, well, if you want to do this, let me show you how I want you to do this, And it was real tough. Some real tough days. There's some real tough days.
Yeah,
And it was, but we just did one day at a time.
One day. If we all take one thing from that, just one day. Anyone
it's
I'd
just
say
one
that's
day.
struggling.
And you also have to when you lay it down, don't get up with it.
You gotta leave it there.
When you see that child the next day, your mind and your heart got to be on reset.
Yeah.
Because if you take all the things that they're saying and that they're doing and let them culminate, then you won't want to help this child because you'll feel hurt and you'll feel broken and you'll feel angry and resentful. And that's not your role. That's not your role. You're the adult. You're the one who is whole that is trying to help this person. And you you lay it down with it and you get up without it.
Yeah.
That's
it. It goes down with the sun. It dies with the day.
When
I read that in the blog.
When head go to pillow. And that's got to be the affirmation. That's what you're asking God to do, because you're saying, when He says one more day, the same way that we lay down and we have done things that we're not supposed to do that day. And then when the sun rises the next day, God doesn't bring it to us. It's a new day.
Amen.
And
brand new mercies every morning.
Yeah.
That's what I think about when you said that, when I read that in your story. Brand new mercy every day.
Yes. Yes. And you, it's the only way to get through. And there's a lot of tough days. And,
Hmm.
that in the beginning, they're more tough. They're more bad days than good.
Hmm. Hmm. I
And
wanted to,
somehow
okay.
with love, the scale tips.
Yes,
Yeah.
in the end, just wait it out one more day.
One more day.
Just wait it out one more day.
Yeah. One more day.
So I wanted to just share a bit of encouragement. Thank you, Janine. That's beautiful. God brings each new day, each new day.
Yes.
Amen.
Yes.
Donna had said something as well. Yes, Anna said to find a box and put it in sunrise, a new day.
Uh-huh.
The sun, and that sunrise we talked about. When we look
Yes.
at that sunrise,
Yes.
that's
Brand
a
new.
reminder it's a brand new day, brand
Mm-hmm.
new mercies. What's in the past is in the past.
Mm-hmm.
I saw a comment earlier from Donna that I wanted to share that I just wanted to encourage you with. She said, I remember this. Brenda always
Ah,
remained professional and above board throughout this challenge and never showed weakness publicly. She stayed strong and continued to remain positive throughout. Like I said, we would have never known, like us on the outside who were serving with you almost every weekend, we were,
when I get
we,
outside, get in this car.
yes, we, you held it until you left the church building then, because we had
This car.
no idea. But and
Yeah.
that's the thing. And I'm sure many women and moms may, even behind closed doors, we don't even know what they're going through, and they put on a brave face. And this actually, I guess, leads to my next question, of how you create a safe space to be able to share your feelings, because obviously all your feelings weren't good feelings. So how do you create a place that you can go and vent and share what you're feeling? And I think sometimes with that, we need to be careful, because there are people that can be judgmental, with what we
Yeah.
share. And we really want to be able to find someone who's not going to judge, but really who's going to encourage and who's going to pray. But talk to me, if you were able to create kind of that safe space,
Well,
just to be able to vent.
I have a amazing group of friends. With I have a circle of friends we call the Queens, with my best friend
Mhm.
Veronica and my best friends Danny and
Hey, Queens.
Danielle and Carol and all them, and Heather as well. And there were times when I talked about the good stuff, but when I went to them, it was where I laid it down. I laid it down to God. But as I said, I felt conflict in complaining to God.
Mhm.
I felt a lot of conflict.
Mhm.
So I used my natural resources, and that was um, my dumping ground. And I'm the kind of person that if I can just get it off my chest, I'm able to move on. I'm not one that really hold things in. I just need to kind of get it out, and then I'm fine. Um, and I was able to talk about my feelings. I was able to, um, say that I was having a bad day. I was able to say that I was angry at Imani for doing this or doing that, or how bad I was feeling if something got done, broken in the house. And
Mhm.
there were times when Imani would admit that it was on purpose. That was just how she showed her pain,
Yeah.
and I was able to just kind of talk to these women and just kind of lay it down and everything. And that can sometimes be a double-edged sword, because at the time when Imani went up for adoption, I got all that, kind of all that back. Like,
Remember
I don't
when?
know if this
Remember?
is
Yeah.
what you should be doing.
Mhm.
Like, I think you really need to think about this. Have you heard yourself the last few years?
Yeah.
Um, there have been many, many times when you were very, very frustrated and hurt and unhappy. Is this something that you want to do? And I, I heard that from them. So I didn't think as though they could be real impartial, but I had kind of
Mhm.
set them up for that,
Mhm.
because all they got was my side, and all that,
Yeah. Yeah.
the stuff that I was trying to get rid of. So I had to again go to God and say, what should I do? I don't know if this is something I should do. The last 2 years have been so hard. I feel overwhelmed. I feel like I'm kind of beat down. I don't know how much I got in me, how much gas is left in the tank. And I prayed and I prayed and I prayed, and God said to me, I've already called you. I've already called you. Nothing's different. I've called you to be, the vessel for this girl to, walk in her purpose. I've already called you. And once I heard that, all the confusion and the trepidation and the back and forth, well, it might be this scenario or that scenario, all of that just went, just dissipated. It just dissipated out of my mind, out of my heart. I called him and I said, let's go. Let's do it. And we did it.
But it took you continually going before God, because I remember in your story you shared you didn't hear from him, right? You were asking and like not hearing anything.
Weeks, but I didn't know what else to do. I didn't know what else to do. I just kind of waited, and I kept saying, I'm not hearing from God. I don't know what to do. Like, I don't know what to do. So I'm just going to wait. And, they had started asking me, like, what do you think you want to do? And finally I said to the woman, I haven't heard from God. I don't know if you can deal with that.
I'm not doing anything. Right. So I can't answer you.
And at the time I'm single. So that's the man of the house. I have to walk, as he was leading me. And like I said, I didn't have a lot of confidence in myself that I could really, keep doing this, because it takes a lot of energy.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of time, and things like that. So it was weeks, and I heard from him clearly. One more day, one more day. And, I didn't ask you to keep her dependent on her status.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
So
there was another instance, and I don't think this is in the story, but we talked about it. So I wanted to kind of just share it with the listeners tonight. Not only did you hear from God, but something changed in you. Imani had a failed reunification attempt or process with her mom, right? And so her mom got herself together and did everything she needed to do, and the state was going to return Imani to her mom. Kind of share, obviously you don't have to go into much detail, but share how your heart changed towards Imani during that, and your actual realization that she was indeed your child.
Yeah. Imani was less than a week from being reunified with her birth mom. And they were doing the last weekend visit. And I was contacted as to where Imani's whereabouts were after she had been gone on almost 24 hours. And they were trying to dot I's and cross T's to make sure that this reunification worked. And they had some more things that they had to go over, and was unable to get in touch with the birth mom. And as I said, they're very regulations. You can't do that. If they're calling and need to talk to you or need to see you, you have to make yourself available. That's just the way it is. And this particular time, Imani's birth mom didn't do that. So they started getting concerned. So they went to do a well check, and was not allowed access to the premises. So that created a sort of what they felt an unsafe situation for Imani. Well, during this time, I was Imani's only link. She had a iPod or something at the time, and we were communicating, and she was frightened. She was frightened. She could hear the people, and she could hear the conversation. She didn't exactly understand what was going on, but you must understand when a child has been moved, taken from their residence and then moved a couple of times, anytime they hear shouting and banging and things like that, it's like PTSD.
Yes.
They immediately get, the anxiety, the fear, and they can really, really, it really, really hurts them. Like they go into a thing,
Shock, yeah.
and she's, a little girl, and she's going through this. And it's funny because I always work the weekends, and this one particular day I didn't work. I didn't work.
Wow.
I was at home. I was at home the whole time, and that had never been the case.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And as the day went on, I became so filled up, and I called the lady and I said, "What is going on? Like, with my daughter? What is going on with my daughter? Bring her back. Just bring her back." And they said, "We are.
Wow.
We are. We're going to bring her back."
Amazing.
And it was all day. But when Mani came in here, she felt exactly what I felt. She felt it, and I felt it, that I was
Mm-hmm.
her mom. She was my daughter, and I wasn't going to let anything else interfere with what we had. And we realized that it had been there, and that's why we had been, just kind of hanging in there all this time. That we definitely had this connection. And that was my daughter. And
Yeah.
I felt the fear and the feelings that I went through that day. I couldn't have felt any more scared or any more
Mm-hmm.
frightened if I had given birth to her.
Had been your own
Yeah.
child, right?
And I was
Right.
going to move heaven and earth from that day on to make sure
Mm-hmm.
that situation never occurred. And I didn't want to hear nothing about DIFUS or visits or anything like that, but it never came to be. Because
Yeah.
once that day happened, it kind of reset everything, and we went on to adoption status, and
Yes, and Miss
and
Amani, I
then
know she's watching us
yeah,
tonight.
yeah. And but the thing about it is that's not a fast process. So
No.
being
Mm-mm.
put in adoption status and actually going through the adopt process is almost a year,
Mm.
because
Mm.
even when the parents lose their rights, they have a space of time where nothing can happen.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
know, where nothing can happen. So we still went through our ups and downs during
Yeah.
that time. We
Yes.
still went through ups and downs,
And
although
even
we
after that,
knew,
right? Even after
right, but
adoption, because
it
we
was
got
like
teenagers. We got
normal.
teenagers because I have a daughter the
Yeah,
same
it was
age
like
as
normal.
Imani.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was mom at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And as close as Imani was with her birth mom for many, many years,
Mm-hmm.
and, always, um, would not even, she always called me Miss Green around her mother. And she had been here 6, 7, 8, 9, but she
Yeah.
was still calling me Miss Green.
Mm-hmm.
And then recently over the summer, um, her and her birth mother were having a conversation, and Imani went on the defensive and said, "That's it. You will not talk about my mom anymore in a negative way. I'm not going to listen to it. I don't want to hear it. And if that's all you're calling to talk to me about, don't call."
Wow. In that moment, you went from being Miss Brenda to mom.
But
Wow.
this is just recent. Like Imani has evolved so that she has been able to tell her mom that this is the woman that raised me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, she
Mm-hmm.
did not give birth to me, but this is my mom.
Yes.
This is the one that's been there through all of that.
Yes.
And it's January 30th. It's 22. It'll be, oh, 11 years, or
Yeah.
10 years, 10 years, 10 years.
Yeah. 2011. Yes.
Yeah, 10
Well,
years.
thank you for your courage. I want to say hello to Miss Amani. We love you, Imani, and thank you for allowing your mom to share your story as well. We wanted to make sure that you were okay because her story is your story as well. So we love you.
Yeah,
We wish
it's
you
our
nothing but
story.
the best. She's a senior and planning for the next stage, and
Yes,
it's exciting for us as moms.
yes,
It's sad though
yes,
too. It's exciting, but it's bittersweet as well.
yes.
So Gary said, "This is my superwoman." Yes, Gary, you have a superwoman, and again,
Thank you,
happy
honey.
anniversary to you both. So let's get into our Q&A. And I know the first thing, if you have a question, I always allow my guests to ask me a question. So If you have a question for me and Markeisha, if you can start getting ready, our fabulous producer, Markeisha, thank you so much for your assistance tonight. If you could start getting those questions that have been posted ready, we'll have Brenda answer them. But Brenda, do you have a question for me first?
Well, our girls are close and
Mm-hmm.
everything. And one thing I wanted to say, before I answer the question, but we were talking the other day, and when I talked about this community and this village, you were part of that village too. And we were talking about it, and I was like, "Remember when you watched Angel for me?"
And I had
Because I had to
forgot.
work.
I
Remember you
forgot.
did Money's hair?
Mm-hmm.
I need to do her hair. So it was, and that's what I'm saying. God always
Put those little
placed
twists. I put
people.
those two strand twists, and she was so
Yes,
cute. Yeah.
yes, so cute. She
Yes.
loved them, and I was like, okay, can you take them
Yes.
out? Because I don't know nothing about this. I don't know how to do it. But
Yes.
it was always something like that, and you always, even when we were in church together, and always was giving, always willing to work, always willing to just give 100%. And it's not so much a question so much, but
Mm-hmm.
I just want to congratulate you on this forum,
Thank
and
you.
just wish you all the success in the world. And just, I'm just so honored to be a part of it, and just this one night. And I want everybody to just support it. You got so much good
Thank you.
stuff that you talk about,
Oh,
and
made me
I just
cry.
think it's awesome. I just think it's
Thank you, Brenda.
awesome,
That
and
means
I love
that means
you.
so
I
much.
love
I
you.
love you too. Thank you. I so appreciate that. Thank you so much. Okay, we have our first question. How
Oh,
did Danny feel when she was disciplined and you could not discipline Imani?
Danny was angry. Sometimes she would do things and give me, well, you can't do that to me, and you don't do that to
To
her.
her. Mm-hmm.
Especially with the phone, because that was my go. Give me that, give me that phone. Um, and so what I would have to explain to Danny. So it kind of made her. She was older than Imani, so that helped.
Mm-hmm.
She was already a teenager when Imani came. So as she was getting older, I would not use more so. Imani gets to do this and you don't. I would use her and say, this situation that you are in warrants me taking your phone because of this. It has nothing to do with Imani. It had to do with your actions or the consequences that I think, are appropriate for this situation.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of had to like turn it around on her and say, don't worry about her, so much. Like, make sure that you do what you need to do to keep your phone, and you don't have to worry about Imani's brand of discipline versus your brand of discipline. And like I said, because Imani was, they were 6 years apart, Danny started, she was out and, kind of doing her thing where Imani was
Mm-hmm.
home all the time with me, you know. So a lot of times, she didn't see a lot of the stuff that Imani got away with, but she
Mm-hmm.
knew it.
And can I just give a shout out to Danny too? Danny, we love you as well, and we know that this is part of your story as well,
Yes,
and we know that
yes.
I'm sure you have grown so much as a person and as a woman, and just your character. I know is strong, and a lot of times maybe your story is the one that's sometimes missed and not told. But we see you tonight. I'm about to cry
It
again,
wouldn't
but
be a
we see
story if
you.
it were not for
Yes,
Danny.
yes, yes. So, and I always remember just always being there and being so helpful. She was so helpful.
Yes.
So, Danny, we love you. We thank you and we appreciate you as well. Our next question
So,
from Anne. How old
mhm,
was Amani when she came into your life? And did you get to ask for a certain age?
yes. Now, as I said, Imani came on the end of January. She was 7. She was turning 8 in February. But you can certainly set up a parameter. You can set age, gender, race, any parameters. You can set up, it you know what things about the child. You want a child that's not allergic to pets. You want a child that it's gets that doesn't have medically, a lot of medical involvement. You can ask for a child that doesn't have behaviors, but you're not going to get that. Time and love
Mhm.
kind of takes care of that, because they're unstable, and it takes a while for them to get stable. So a lot of the problems that they come in with, um, they don't keep once they settle down a little bit and see that you're not going anywhere, which is the case with Angel. That was the case with Angel. But you can certainly set up a lot of parameters. I asked for girls, but then I said that we could do a little boy. So we ended up with a 7-month old. So we ended up with a 7-month old. I needed someone who wasn't too medically involved because I worked. So I couldn't take off a lot to go to doctors and this, that. I could do everything after work, but I needed to go to work during the day. So you can certainly set up all of those parameters and tell them. They don't listen, they call you anyway, but but you can always say, that's a fit for my family, or I don't think that's a fit for my family.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. Next question. Was it hard that Imani had contact with her birth family?
It was extremely hard. It was extremely hard. It was intrusive. It was non-productive. It was invasive. It was counterproductive, and it was bad. It was bad. Now, on the other side of that coin, Angel's family, we're family. And that's the way I wanted it, because I wanted my kids to have family, because I have a small family. So I didn't have a problem with them having connections with their birth family. Angel has contact with just this weekend, the whole family's coming over, birth mom, grandmom, great grandparents. We've been away together. We live in the same town, that sort of thing. And that's the storybook part of it. But the other side of the coin is that when it does not work out. And if there was anything about this journey that I could change, it wouldn't be Imani. It would be the relationship with the birth mom and her having so much access and getting into Imani's head, because as she stayed there. She stayed there. Because no matter what you go through, and no matter where you're placed or where you're taken or wherever, your mom is your mom.
Yeah.
And even if they've done things or if they said things, and that all that, it's just like your kids. Kids can do a whole lot of stuff to you, but they're still your kids. So even though Imani had some tough things to deal with, in that nature, it was still her mom, and she was still listening. I wasn't, and she didn't know me. She didn't trust me like that. Listen, she does now. But that's a long 1 more days. That's a lot of 1 more days.
Yes.
Dear God. Yes. That's a lot of 1 more days. And we can laugh about it, cry about it now. But at the time, I was concerned about all of us.
Yeah.
All of us. Like, what have I done? What have I done to my family? Why did I think that this was going to be a good thing? And I had some guilt, with Danny and everything, but through it all, just when you thought that it wasn't going to be okay, it was a fun time, or you go out and you have a good time as a family, and you go, okay, we got 1 more day. We got 1 more day. We've got 1 more day. Yeah, but they were tough.
The days in between. I think this is our last question. What changes would you like to see in the foster system?
Well, I kind of feel like foster. Well, right now their main goal is reunification. They don't remove the children even the way they used to. They try to not remove them if they can. But the changes that I would like to see is that if you have good foster parents that you've trained with your training, and they are compliant and the children are thriving, just listen to them. Just listen to them. The way that I've been made to feel, it's hard to treat them normal because they're not your kids. You're their
Mm-hmm.
you're the custodial parent.
Yeah.
They're not your kids. But for instance, um, if you want to go somewhere, I can see that you would need permission to go somewhere. I get that. But if doing one particular state inspection, when my water heater was off by 1 degree, the light was left on. So I went to turn off the light and I fell down the steps. Well, the next day, I could not take care of Angel. She was 3 years old. So I had my neighbor take her to school and each day. And I got in a lot of trouble for that. A lot. A lot of trouble for that. But that's something that we just do naturally as parents.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand their problem was I neglected to say something. But they have to understand I fell down the steps. I was in a lot of pain. I wasn't really thinking. I was just trying to take care of my kids
It's
and get them
extenuating
all
circumstances.
into where they needed
Yeah.
to be.
Yeah.
And the people that I asked to take my daughter were the same people that were my references on my diapers application.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I didn't think they would have a problem with it, but they did. And I think you just got to, if you have a good parent, I know that you have rules and regulations, but before you slap them with, like threats and, you know, cases and investigations, talk to them, find out what happened. And if it sounds reasonable, then, let the course of action.
Yeah.
And I think that everybody is kind of looked at with the same, with the same kind of wand, and every case is different, just like every kid is different. You don't, you have different methods that you use with each of your kids. You just have to look at that because, like I said, sometimes the state is telling you, oh, you're okay. And the caseworkers are like, we love you. Just listen to the, and I think that's why a lot of people don't go into foster
Mm-hmm.
caring,
Mm-hmm.
you
Because of
know,
that. Yeah. Because of that.
because of that,
Yeah.
because of that. But all of that aside, the reward is so much better than what you go through. But it's a lot to go through, but it's
Mm-hmm.
worth it.
Mm-hmm.
It's worth it. When I look at Imani, my heart is so full. When I look at Angel, my heart is so full. When I look at Danny, my heart is so full. And I'm like, this is what God has brought me to do. Because the thing about it, Danny did just as much as I did because she was their example. She was their example. She was their big sister. She took that role seriously, you know, and she met Monty where she was every single time. When Monty wanted to be bothered with her, they did all kinds of sisterly things. When Monty didn't want to be bothered, she left her alone,
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
know. And but as soon as Monty came back, she was right there. Okay, let's, she you know, like just reset. Let's do that. Let's play a game. Let's do this. Let's go here, and things like that. So I give her a lot of credit too, because seeing her thriving and okay was making me okay.
Yeah.
That kept me okay.
Yeah. And I think and I that was the last question. So we're gonna close, and we went over tonight, but it's okay because this was so engaging and good, and we all needed this. I feel like we just all needed to just hear this and to answer. But what I'm taking away is we as moms, I think a lot of times set the atmosphere in our home. And as you said, whether it's our biological children, adopted children, foster, whatever the case may be, our role should be to make our home a home of healing. And there's a lot of issues that our children may go through, take your pick, bullying, it just, there's so many, there's a gambit of things that our children could be going through. I just want every mom that's on here tonight to take away that let's make our homes of healing. That let's all be charged with being that a source of healing in our home. It's healing for us and healing for, our spouses, our children, though whoever's under our roof, that our home would be a place of healing.
Yes.
I think that's a
It's
great
love.
note to end on. Oh my gosh. So God, I thank you for just this wonderful time. I thank you, Brenda, just for sharing your story. I thank you for everyone who joined tonight and just for all the comments and the engagement, and just even the kind words for Brenda. Thank you. It was a great
Wonderful.
night. It was a
It
great
was
night. Yes, yes.
wonderful.
So, Brenda, I'm going to ask you if you can go over to the Facebook page. We have a lot of comments. Everything we didn't get to post everything tonight, but there are some
Okay.
great comments for you. So if you can go and just kind of greet everybody and just read all the comments that they had for you. They left definitely a lot of love
Absolutely.
there for you. But again, thank you. And thank you all that have been just faithful viewers and have been joining us each Tuesday just for that time to decompress and to just be. So I
Yes.
invite you back next week. We have another amazing guest, Miss Allison Bell, is going to be joining us next week, and we're going to hear her story. So good night for now, and we'll see
All
you hopefully
right.
next week, God willing. Take care, everyone.
Bye bye.